Hey guys, this is Bruce and welcome to another episode where I actually tell you about jobs that have come to my inbox. And this one's going to be about a SIEM, Security Information Consultant, full-time in Hartford, Connecticut. Before we start, you should know that I have a course that you can actually enroll in for free to download free stuff, but I also have a paid course where I talk about how to get remote jobs, how I've been able to get remote jobs in the last 4 or 5 years, and then how I've been able to get into cybersecurity and make up to 6 figures. I tell you how I do it. You can copy exactly what I do and walk you through it, and then how I find these jobs, all that kind of stuff. But if you're interested, the link's up there. Now let's get into it. So this is an urgent requirement for a SIEM. If you didn't know, that's a Security Information Event Manager, Security Information Consultant, full-time SIEM consultant in Hartford, Connecticut. And they're saying Enterprise Solution is looking to fill a very urgent position with one of our following clients. I came across your resume on the job boards, so just wanted to check with you and see if you're available for this project. Position, SIEM, Security Information Consulting, full-time, and I'll explain. I'll kind of get into the details of what a SIEM is. Work location, Hartford, Connecticut. Never been to Connecticut. Interview type, webcam. Sometimes they fly you out to do the interviews. I've had those before. Desired skill and experience requirements. You need a bachelor's degree, a foreign equivalent requirement from an accredited institution, or a foreign equivalent. We'll also consider 3 years of progressive experience in lieu of every year of experience. In other words, if you have a 4-year degree, they'll take 3 years of experience for every year. I don't know what they mean, but you have to ask them. But anyway, they'll take some experience instead of degrees, so that's good. I notice a lot of IT jobs do that. Well, they'll take, if you have a lot of experience, if you really know what you're doing and you can really knock it out of the park. Sometimes they don't care if you have a degree or not, I noticed. But you have to be able to prove that you can do the job. And that's why I always say experience is way beyond a degree. And a degree, in my opinion, is way beyond a certification. All right, let's keep going here. At least 4 years of experience with information technology. And they prefer at least 3 years of experience creating requirements, specifications based on architecture, design, detailing, process. So they want you to actually be able to have 3 years of experience actually designing a SIEM. And I'm not seeing what kind of SIEM. They don't seem to specify what kind. There's different vendors who do these SIEM systems. And a SIEM, if you didn't know, is basically what it is like a system that consolidates all the logs, event logs. So it'll take Unix event logs, Windows event logs, server event logs, firewall event logs, and event log is like basically a text of what is occurring on the system. Whenever somebody logs into a switch, a Cisco switch, if you turn logging on, it will say, hey, this person logged in at this time and they got into config T. Or on servers, they have all kinds of logs you can do. You can do a log when the server shuts down unexpectedly, or somebody shuts it down. You can do logs where people access certain files. You can do logs where whenever somebody failed their login attempt, you can do a log, and you can do that across the enterprise. So every time anyone does failed login attempt, you can have it immediately send a log. The problem with logs is that there's a lot of them, right? Just think of all the things you do on a computer, on a workstation even, on a daily basis. You log in, you mistyped a couple times, and you've got some logs there. Now you've logged in successfully. That can be a log. Then you opened up a file. The file is corrupt. That's a log. That's an application log. There's all kinds of logs that just you logging in your system, using an app, even going to certain sites. All that stuff can be logged. And now think about an entire environment where you have thousands of people. And you have a firewall where hundreds of people an hour are coming in and out of the network and logging in and out of their system. That's a lot of logs, right? So it's too much for a person, a human being, to handle. So what they've done is they designed this system that consolidates, brings in all the logs from switches, routers, from firewalls, from workstations, from Unix systems, from wherever you want, wherever you feel like there's different attack vectors that can come in. Normally what they do, the main ones are like servers, whenever somebody fails a login attempt, because that can tell you when somebody's trying to infiltrate a system. Another one is if there's a system that's trying to access a bunch of systems like very quickly, that could be a log. Another event log could be whenever a system is trying to do a denial of service attack. This is what happens on the edge servers. Like if you have a edge systems such as routers, or if you have servers that are on the DMZ and people are constantly trying to infiltrate your network, they'll collect logs from there, and then those will be put into one system called a SIEM. And then that SIEM, what it does is it sorts it so it's human readable. And it'll say, okay, I'm going to take this person trying to get into the firewall here, and I'm going to take this data over here where they tried to log into all of these different privileged accounts, and I'm going to put those together, and then I'm going to alert the security operations center, or the person who's doing this. And in this case, it will be the person who's the SIEM consultant. So let's get back to this. Now that we know what a SIEM is, let's keep talking here. So they want 3 years of experience of somebody who's architect and design, which is pretty rare. Somebody actually puts those things together. And that can be Splunk is one product. Another one is ArcSight. Another one is Logarithm. Oh man, there's one called Q. I can't remember what it starts with a Q, but there's several different ones, but those are like some of the top ones. And I know I'm forgetting some, but at least 2 years in SIEM doing IDS, IPS skills. That means like you're actually looking at what systems are actively being blocked, what whitelists, what blacklists there are out there, and what you're actually investigating what's going on, analyzing the data, and figuring out if somebody's actually trying to infiltrate your site, or if they've already done it, or if there's an insider threat. They want you to have experience with those things. So analyze and investigate events using an enterprise security information and event monitoring system, a SIEM. Oh, monitoring, not manager. Okay. I've heard it changed, used interchangeably. Logs from firewalls, IDS, IPS, proxies, server, endpoint. See, these are all the devices that a lot of people use to monitor logs. Performs information security incident response, incident handling based on. So a lot of times the SIEM person is the centerpiece for your security operations center, because it's such an effective tool that the logs come in, and then they analyze the data, and then they send those. They have to respond to those logs. You know that there's a denial of service attack on your asset, so now you have to respond. What do you do? What does your organization do? Where do you guys send those logs? So that's one of the things that they're expecting you to know how to do. But usually the organization already has something in place. But the problem is, if you come in and you're green and you've never done any of it before, they already have a process in place. They have to actually train you into their process, and it's going to take them longer because you really don't understand it. You've never done it before. But if you've done it before and now you have to train in their process, because every process is slightly different, you're going to pick it up. You're like, oh yeah, at my last job, I remember we did it like this. You guys do it like this? Okay, that's cool. You might even be able to bring something new to the table if you have experience. Okay, let's keep going. Performs information security incident response and incident handling based on risk categories in accordance with established procedures. Because they usually, like I said, organizations already have established procedures on how they do all this stuff. So it's not like you have to make this stuff up. You have to know enough to be immediately going and say, okay, we did this at my last job. This is how they do it here. Let's get into this. Okay, and then there's a few other things. What I'm going to do here for you guys, it's security monitor framework, analytical and communication skills, planning, coordination. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of this information below, so that if you're interested in being a SIEM consultant, you can go ahead and apply for this. Contact these folks, and SIEM consultants usually make pretty good money because there's not like a lot of competition for SIEMs for this kind of information, for this kind of experience. So if you have this is very valuable. I'm talking six-figure, that's average for these guys. If you don't have this skill set, this is something to really look into. SIEM, it's called Security Information Event Monitoring, or Security Information Event Management. I've heard it used both, but monitoring is probably the right way. That's what they say here. But anyway, this is something really to look into. Just really consider this one. If you don't know it, like, there's actually ways that you can actually learn this stuff, so you can actually hit the ground running if you actually happen to land one of these jobs. And what you might want to do is learn a little bit of it. If you happen to be in a security position, here's what I did. I was already a security guy, and they had an opening for a SIEM, but I already knew like basics. I already had Security Plus, had a CISSP, I had the basic knowledge. I'd never done a SIEM before, but a lateral position opened up where they had a SIEM position. I was like, well, this sounds interesting. So I actually went over and talked to the SIEM guys, and they were telling me about it, and they said everything I'm telling to you. They gave me a basic breakdown. They said, man, this pays like 6 figures, man. This is no joke. You might want to look into this. And I did. And then they showed me the system. They gave me like a brief synopsis. Here's how it works. I'm like, it makes sense to me. I applied for it, got the job, and then I had, lo and behold, now I know how to install the system. I learned how to install it. I learned how to configure it. I learned like basic architecture of it. This was all for ArcSight. I even learned some Splunk. I learned how to do content creation, a little bit of coding for it. I learned so many things, and there's so many different levels. You don't have to know like coding or like how to hook the hardware up. There's so many different levels that you can start off with, But that's it, guys. That's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.